Good morning and welcome to the Capital Gang. I am Oscar Semoyam Soke, and in the studio we have already the leader of opposition. We are a bit late starting, mainly because Moses Kaule of the morning show wanted to take photographs with the leader of opposition. So we had to wait for Master Kaule to start the show. So you're most welcome, Honorable Joe Senyonyi.
Thank you, Mwalimu. Good morning. Happy New Year's.
Yes.
It's good to be here. It's been donkey's years. Where's everybody?
Well, we have Mr. Fred Bamwine somewhere. I don't know. I see him running around on phone calls. Maybe he did not expect you to be here.
So he has to get clearance. Yes. What do I say? What do I not say? But it's good to be here. It's been a while. Every so often I listen in to the gangsters, and you guys are going stronger by the day.
Yes. Well, good to have you.
Thank you.
What's been happening since the election? You're having troubles with the party. It's incredible. Now, yesterday news coming in was showing that one of your MPs is in prison for theft. What's going on?
You've asked a myriad of questions. Where do you want me to start from?
You choose where to start from.
You asked what's happening
since
after the election.
Yes. And are they continued wars? Because you have one of your NP-elect, we are told, has ended up in prison for theft of all reasons.
Well, that particular issue, I saw it on social media too. That curtains worth 3.7 billion shillings. It sounded very interesting, but it's good the matter is in court. Let's see how it goes. So he says, of course, these are politically...
He has been charged for stealing curtains.
Yeah, of course, he says these are politically motivated charges, because he was telling us what kind of curtains are those. Anyhow, the good thing is that that's being handled in court. Let's get to the more crunchy things, I think, now that you talked about the election. This election was very strange. It was a volatile election. It was... I don't even know whether to describe it as an election in the real sense of the word. So here is the thing. An election is a process. Unlike what some people think, that an election is an event that happens on the day of voting, that if it's 15th January, that's voting day, then the election happens on that day. No, an election is a process. And that entire process feeds into what we call the election. It begins with consultations. If somebody chooses to go and consult, because that's allowable within the law. And then you go through the nomination process, then you go through campaign process. That's all part of the election. It's an entire process. Yeah. Then there is election day.
And on election day, in the process, Mr. Bamwine switches off the internet.
No, it was not Bamwine. You're blaming the man for nothing.
I'm blaming
He was also struggling without internet. He was probably complaining also and saying, Esh, why don't I have connectivity? So he probably had no idea about some of these things. But even post-election, that's part of the process, because all that happens thereafter. So we did see the volatility, we saw the brutality wherever it is that we went to campaign. You find that you are scheduled to be in an area, in a district, in a municipality on that particular day. And Bamwine's fellows, the RDCs, they say, no, you're not going to campaign in the municipality. And he said, but we drew this schedule with the Electoral Commission. Today I am meant to be in this municipality. And they say, no, you will not be anywhere in the municipality. Very strange things. And yet, a few days ago, other candidates were campaigning in those very areas and would even tell them, okay, you get us whichever venue you like in the municipality. They would say, no municipality at all, yet it's on schedule. But anyhow, and all of those different things, we saw the debate about processions. Each time they would beat up our supporters, I would see police spokespersons, including at some point the IGP. He called a press conference and he said the problem with the NUP is that they hold processions in the road and they disrupt traffic. And I said, wow, where has this man been? Because you see, elections in and of their nature, they are that way. They come with... Oscar, if you're to hold a big event here at the Capital FM grounds, the traffic around will be disrupted a little bit because you're having a big event. Maybe you're calling youth in Kampala, you have a bash for them, I don't know. It will disrupt a little bit, inevitably, yeah? So that's the thing with campaigns. If a candidate, especially a popular candidate, is meant to be in a particular area, yes, that's why police, you are notified about all these programs to make sure you regulate. But the ironic thing is, NRM kept holding processions and it was okay. Sometimes they even had bands leading their processions. In Mbarara specifically, as they were heading to Kachek, they moved through town, the roads were closed off, and they had a band leading them. And somebody asked me that, is this okay? I said, for me, I have no problem because it's campaign time. They are the ones meant to be there. The challenge is, if it is NUP doing that, then they'll be beaten and clobbered and all of that.
It is something because we have Benjamin Katana here. You sent him to us, our favorite, and we like him so much. I would tell him, Benjamin, I like you so much, but I don't think your party is going to win. And I told him regularly
because of all the things that you saw.
And then I'd ask Bamwine here, Fred Bamwine, but why are you beating them? If they are not going to win, so then why do you beat them? To date, Fred Bamwine has not responded. So are you...
Anyway, I was giving now that you had asked me about the election.
to date, he has not responded. So
he also has no idea, I suppose.
Are you going to file in I don't know what you call it in Parliament? Will you stand up and say, can we get a report on especially the beatings in the election and the post-election to what's happened to your principal's home?
I did raise these matters already in Parliament, sometimes really for the record purposes, but also to keep insisting on certain things. On election day, we waited for the biometric voter verification kits to function. That did not happen. Polling stations as late as midday had not commenced voting. Why? Because the machines which were meant to be used as a panacea to vote rigging failed to function. So in Parliament I said, you people, you came here with a supplementary request and it was passed to the chagrin of some of us because I said, look, in 2021 machines were purchased, they didn't function. When we went for the census, they said we're going to use the machines. They struggled as well. I said, what new thing is going to happen? And that was like 2 months to the elections. We as a country spent nearly 400 billion shillings on everything to do with these machines. Part of that money was to purchase the machines, the kits themselves. Part of that was to hire those going to operate them. Part of that money was to train them. All of that is different monies. Yeah. Part of that money was to integrate the voting process with the machines. So the ballot papers that we have used for a long time had now to have integrated features that could be scannable. All of that was money. So when you look at the entire expense related to the machines, it's nearly 400 billion shillings. And the records are anyway available in Parliament. So I said,
don't know if you know, eventually they worked.
they did on the last leg of the local government votes. So I said, what happened? Is it that we purchased fake machines? Is it that the machines were good, but somebody somewhere ensured that they malfunction for the presidential and parliamentary voting and the district chairpersons and lord mayors and that kind of thing? We have yet to get answers. The presiding officer said, I am asking the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs to come to Parliament with a statement. Then sent us on some kind of recess. So we are waiting. The country needs to know about some of these things.
Yes, very true. Well, welcome to Gang. We've been missing you and glad that you're here to have a discussion with us.
Thank you.
In the studio, we also have retired Major Paula Awich. Is that the way to say it? Major Paula Awich.
It has nothing to do with the witch.
I beg your pardon?
Pronounce it proper.
What
It has
did you
nothing to
quit?
do with the witch.
Eh.
The way you pronounce it.
It is
But he has
a
said it.
witch.
A witch.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're most welcome to the Capital Gang. We invited you here to narrate, tell us a little bit about Tarehe Sita, and you're most welcome, sir. I have Fred Bamwine, who is now very busy with samosa. You know that Ofonopondo's chair can attract samosa and star cafe chai. So just say hello and continue with.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Oscar.
Yes.
Good morning, viewers and listeners of Capital Gang.
You government people, you don't get fed at home in the morning because this is your fifth samosa.
That's why it is provided. I think it's discipline to bring it here and it goes
And then
out.
it
Leave the man to enjoy the gains of the Capital Gang.
But I'm excited to be here with my long-time friends
Mm,
and even my neighbor, Simon is my closest neighbor.
yeah.
So, it is
So he should feel protected. Yes,
He has always been.
he has always been.
Yes.
Honorable Lydia Wanyoto is in the studio. You're most welcome, Lydia. And you did go to Kavali.
Yes, I was in Cavalry yesterday on invitation for Tarehe Sita, 40th. And I would like to also, of course, now that you've asked me,
Just raise your voice a little bit more because I'm struggling with
good
microphones.
morning to our listeners,
Yeah.
to the gang colleagues. Yes, like you said, I was in Cavalry yesterday to attend the 45th Tarehe Sita on invitation.
Mm.
Yes. And
Okay.
I want to congratulate those that received the medals of recognition. That includes the CDF, General MK, for the work they've done, and the others.
Mm.
So it was good. It's good
Did
to
leader of
celebrate.
opposition receive anything?
No, this was for the military,
Ah,
for the work they've served.
And Honorable Wanyoto is a corporal.
No, my friend, if you know my rank, you will collapse. I am NDC trained, the highest training rank. So, but also I've been following on the news. Katoto's friend, with whom they served as a committee, has passed on, Takira. Just been receiving that information.
I'm just learning of it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I
dear.
remember him very, very.
Yes, he was a member of my
As a
committee.
when
Okay. Very, very sad.
The UPDF family,
Yes.
the family, and his colleagues then at Parliament. So
Yeah.
thank you.
What happened? I didn't see.
Honorable Abdul Katuntu, most welcome to Gang.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I wait to start the show
Mm.
with this bad news of a friend of mine. Actually, I'm just learning of it now.
Mm.
But anyway, here I am. Good morning, everybody.
Okay, so it is unfortunate, and maybe we'll learn
Yeah.
the cause of death. Just before we kick into so every time I want to ask Fred Bamwine a question, he's busy. You please go ahead. I gave you a chance when you said you're most welcome, sir.
You see, when you started it, you moved to Bamwine and as a discipline cadre,
Mm.
good to jump in, a discipline cadre waits for his opportunity.
Yes.
So I just looked on.
Ah.
Just basically advice first. But anyhow,
So let me say again, you're most welcome to the Capital Gang, retired Major Paula Awich.
yes, thank you so much. Greetings to the listeners and my colleagues who are here. Honorable Katuntu was, I don't know whether he remembers, was my lecturer in LDC for my back course many years back. I am always happy to meet him. The good thing with law is that once you become an advocate, you kind of become equal, except for the senior counsel. Those who have been attorney general hold that provision, and maybe some other people who are lucky to be created under the rules.
Abdu, you are old enough to have taught,
provision. Yes.
Paula Awich
Yeah.
Yeah, and many others.
and many others. Okay.
And also, maybe I always tell people that don't mistake my education age with my biological age. because for the fact that
Me, I was not going to say it, so it's
no,
good you have said
but
it.
I have to make this clear because it's a common occurrence in that I was part of the NRA Kadogos who had dead years in the army and went back later. So the people who were in my class, you couldn't say they're as old as me. I was definitely older than them because we had been in NRA, and by the time they decided that the Kadogo project takes off, we had dead years. So that's why I always say, don't rhyme my academic age with my biological age because we had dead years, but it was remedied. So that's why you would be surprised that Honorable Katuntu taught me, because there's that discrepancy, which was an historical occurrence, but it did happen. I'm happy to be here. I was in Teresita as well, and it was good meeting colleagues, whom some had taken very, very long to meet. For example, I got one of the first 27 who had been my friend long ago, but he has retired and is now in Rukunjiri. Finally, on Teresita is that the leader of opposition...
Not yet. The Teresita will be my second topic.
Yes, the leader of opposition was high-ranking in the protocol arrangement, and maybe that talks of the courtesy and the discipline of UPDF. It was nearly the president, the vice president, the chief justice, the speaker of parliament, and leader of opposition. So, sir, you were expected, and you are very high in the ranking. I thought I could mention that because that speaks for the discipline, the courtesy, and the nation nature of UPDF.
Okay. So it is down to you, Joel, whether you'd have turned up.
For starters, I didn't get an... For starters, didn't get an invitation. Normally, when I get an invitation, then I determine what to do with it.
You respond.
But I didn't get this one. I'm getting it here from Major Awich.
And I don't know what power Major Awich has in inviting you, but
It's on the card.
it's on the card.
The protocol card of arrival. Yes.
Okay.
On the protocol card of arrival, because the protocol is listed on
I see what you mean. Yes. Hey. So, just before we launch into Uganda Airlines has been trending now in the news and so on. Mr. Fred Bamwine, I'll give you a minute to talk about how you are engaging on criminality. Just before we entered the studio, Moses Kaule closed his show with a lady who's been speaking about her ordeal, looked into a car when she was nearly assaulted. So are there concerted efforts to tackle rising criminality?
Yes, but before I respond to that, General Thatcher happened to come from my home village, and they had not received the sad news. I really condole the family and all the people from Russia.
Yeah, very sad. You knew him? You knew him?
Very close.
Very close.
Very close.
Okay. But before we'll spare maybe at the end of the show when we talk about the criminality, because I have now on phone Captain Edward Francis Babu, Honorable Captain Edward Francis Babu. You're most welcome to the Capital Gang.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Moya. To you and to the listeners.
Yes, good morning to you. Sorry about your surgery, and
yes,
it is the reason you are not in the studio physically. How are you healing?
Oh well, one lady in Mulago put it very nicely, and said a new bicycle is not as bad as an old bicycle.
A new bicycle is not as bad as an old bike.
Yeah, so I am. You can see where I fall.
In Luganda, you are not a guardian Kade. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not a guardian here.
You are not a guardian Pia. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Well, we wish you a speedy recovery. Your old buddies are in the studio here. Abdul Katuntu, sends you greetings and says, do recover very well. Abdul, you can say something to him along the same line.
Quick recovery, Francis, and let's put you in God's wishes and blessings.
Oh, there's great improvement. Thank you very much. On the courtesy of one of the best doctors in East Africa, his name is Dr. Malone Nyati.
Oh, good luck. Good for you that you've had good treatment and that you're satisfied with the treatment you've had.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, into Uganda Airlines.
Yes,
you've known the business of airlines very well. How have we gotten here, and what is your opinion? Because there have been reports that the CEO, which I found out is false, that she has not been dismissed, but that was rather trending on social media.
No. Thank you very much. First and foremost, what happened in Uganda Airlines was something that some of us told them would happen. When they were starting Uganda Airlines, the government had a group of people from transport, finance, and the President's office and Prime Minister's office, and we were at the Ministry of Works, and they called some of us and we talked to them. First and foremost, let me get one point very clear. Uganda is probably one of the best locations in Africa to have an airline. We are between the Cape and Cairo. We are between Dakar and India. So it's a very good place. So in terms of marketing, probably one of the best location in Africa. So having an airline is good. Secondly, I told them the biggest problem is going to be management. You need a management that will do the job. One, it should not be the conventional board of directors, I don't know what. You need a small task force of professionals who have been in airline between 10 to 20 years to come and start that airline, because it was a business startup. A startup requires people who have got the acumen of running an airline. That's number one. Number two, I told them about the equipment that they were going to buy. And I told them, if you do, look around our eastern area. Ethiopian Airlines, what is their international vessel they use? Nairobi, Kenya, what do they use? Dar es Salaam, what do they use? And Air Rwanda. Once you've done that, you automatically have a picture what sort of equipment you should buy. The short and medium range, Ethiopian Airlines has a Boeing 737. Our people in Nairobi have an airplane called Embraer. And in Tanzania, they have an aircraft called Airbus 200. Airbus 200 is a replacement of Bombardier. The Bombardier company was bought by Airbus, and therefore they now produce something called Airbus 200. Now, a Bombardier is a fantastic aeroplane. Airbus 300 Neo, 330 Neo is a beautiful airplane. Unfortunately, we are the only ones who operate those two airplanes in the whole of this area. So to repair them, we either go to Airbus or go to America, the only company that has got a big fleet of Airbus 330 Neo. Bombardier, we still have to go to Europe or somewhere in America, or Canada probably, to repair it. So that was another big problem that would be caused. But the airplanes are good. But had we got the Airbus Dreamliners, Boeing Dreamliner 787, we would have support from our brethren like the Ethiopians, the Kenyans, and Dar es Salaam. If somebody got a problem like in Lagos, Ethiopian can help us. If you got a problem in London, even Kenya Airways can help us. So these, and even British Airways operates a Boeing 787, not a 330 Neo. So these are the kind of things that we told them, and they listened. I remember when I finished, they even clapped. Now I thought they had listened. Now the personnel
but
of an airline.
For
when they are starting. You should
Captain
get a
Babu,
task force.
the airline, is it the airline that bought the planes or the government bought the planes?
It doesn't matter whether it is the airline. Whoever bought the aeroplane is for the airline. I'm talking about an airline which is a government airline. I'm not going to talk about individuals because I know who they are. They're just big jokers. But let's go to something a little bit more serious. This is what I told them because I was talking to a government and they were starting an airline. So I'm saying the airline, and even after buying, the airline becomes responsible. And the people behind are the government, fine. Now let's go to the other point. The personnel, like the people who started Emirates, the people who started Qatar, these were people who were put together about 5 or 6 or 7, and they started those airlines. The same thing is happening in Saudi Arabia, where they are starting Air Riyadh. Riyadh they have 70 aeroplanes bought by the prince, and the people who are going to operate are people who started Emirates and Qatar. Now, once you've got those people to start, you can get your own group to understudy these people, and they get trained on the job. By the way, we had done it here before. When we started the Civil Aviation Authority, we actually got people from ICAO to start working with the people we had recruited, managing director, and all the others that followed. And they were trained on the job, and they became probably one of the best. And our Civil Aviation Authority did a very good job initially. Now, those are the areas we looked at. Now, a company like Ethiopian Airlines, which a lot of you talk about, was started by Transworld Airline. Transworld Airline had people who were very experienced. And when they came, Haile Selassie gave them a free hand to start an airline. For them to be able to train people in that airline, they started an Ethiopian Airline school. They started by training pilots, cabin crew, administration, commercial people, for sale. They trained people in finance, and they started from the bottom and they climbed, and that's where they got all those good managing directors that we are now trying to borrow to run Uganda Airlines. I would like to thank the government, if that's what you people prefer to say, who are bringing in an expert to advise. I would like this man to advise them. However, I just heard you saying a few minutes ago, oh, no, he has not been sacked. No, these are the people who got the Zambian man who was running that airline very well, and they came and said the wrong things. The man has gone to court, and they have caused financial loss to the government of Uganda because they have to pay him. So to me, these people are not bad. Maybe they are very good people. Take them somewhere else. Let's get a small task force to revamp that airline and get it going. Now, the other thing that I want to end up by saying,
yes,
let us stop this unfortunate thing of waiving degrees and diplomas. We have to be trained. My friend Katun today is a lawyer. When you leave the university, you go to a law development center. When you leave medicine, you do internship. When you leave engineering, you do apprenticeship. If people want to
even as teachers, we do school practice.
Thank you.
In one sentence, is there hope?
Yes, there is. But you've got to get the right team. Let's get a small task force. Ask the board of directors, who are very nice people, to go and rest. Let these people who have been there, who have caused the financial loss, go and rest, and get a task force to revamp the airline. And if you like these people to go back, let them get trained to be able to work in aviation. It's as simple as that.
Thank you very much.
These nice people, these nice people who we like very much because they are smart and all that. No, we want serious aviators who can run that industry and make our airline work. And that airline, our best route, by the way, is Entebbe, Nairobi. The next route is between here and Dubai. The other route is Johannesburg. The other route, Juba, Mogadishu. Bagan have a nice saying, Banyikize, or is a route is a fee. Don't start going to Lagos, London. To what? Lagos, where? What is the market in Lagos? What is the market in London? Our market now is Dubai. The other one is Bombay, Guangzhou to China. And mainly because of our traders who use those routes. The other one is Johannesburg. You have a lot of Ugandans in South Africa. As a marketing, those are the routes you should look at. London and New York and what. Wait for those. Even Emirates, when it started, they stopped only in London and they used to connect us on United to go to New York. So let us now learn from others, and we have a very good location and we can have a very good airline.
Thank
but
you
let's
so
get
much.
a nice task force.
Thank you so
and not
much.
to bring people and say, we have not sacked them.
Yeah.
They are very nice people. Fine. If you want models, that's okay. Not for the airline.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Captain Francis Babu. Thank you. Joel, you've heard from a pilot, and my thinking is you don't disagree with him.
Oscar, there's a leadership scholar called John C. Maxwell. He's written many leadership books. One of the quotes I like most from him is that everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership, whether it be at home. If there are issues, it's a leadership question. If the children are behaving a certain way, it's because maybe the leadership of the home is not doing what they ought to do. If it is a village, if it is a parish, if it is a company, if it is a nation, leadership, whether you like it or not. And sometimes the leadership can blame other people and not take responsibility. You have seen, hey, you come and tell me, why did you do this and that? Why didn't you do the right thing? But you hired him, renewed his contract, so if he's not delivering, why don't you fire him as a leader? So anyway, the buck stops with leadership. And that's what we discovered when we were inquiring into Uganda Airlines. The crux of the challenges and the predicaments this company was grappling with, for starters, leadership. Leadership. And then it trickles down. By the way, some of the folks that work, the pilots and so on, very competent fellows, people who know what to do. But then they were always struggling because there were issues at the top. Maybe for a bit of history, the issues even began before Jennifer became CEO. She was a commercial director for some time, and she was fired by the board. Why? Influence peddling and other issues. She single-handedly gave a contract to a company called Abavata Group Limited, to which was a director. Contract worth about 4.2 billion shillings. The guys who did the function, introducing, the airline and blah, 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 the airport, then PR. The bulk of the company actually was for PR. 3.48 billion was just for PR to this company. 3.48 billion. That was just for PR. But then there was another 770 million for that function that they bought drinks and snacks for the guests that came. So the challenge is that she single-handedly, as commercial director, gave this company the contract. And the board fired her because, one, she didn't go through procurement and so on. Eventually, when we dug deeper, we discovered she was a director in this company. So this is somebody who gets fired. Now, a few months down the road, the company is looking for a CEO. They hired PricewaterhouseCoopers, the board hired PricewaterhouseCoopers, paid them money, good money, to recruit a CEO. So they begin the process. When they embark on the process, people begin to express interest. Now, days before the expiry date that had been set for people to express interest, the Minister for Works and Transport, General Edward Katumba Wamala, writes to the board and asks them to stop the recruitment process, that he has a presidential directive to appoint Jennifer Bamuturaki as CEO. The board was a bit uncomfortable, but they said, well, this is our boss, and what do we do? So they had to cut short their recruitment process and hired this lady. When we began to dig deeper, of course, she was not qualified because they were laid down qualifications by the board for somebody to be hired. She had a basic degree. She did not have, because they required somebody with postgraduate qualifications, masters and so on, and many other things. So that's number one. But number two, that you hired behind the doors. Why not go through the right procedure so that they get the most qualified person? So little wonder, issues began to arise. Again, more procurements, handing over contracts to, there's something called Independent Online Media Association, online bloggers thing run by a guy called Andrew Rumba. She also hired them, was paying them 13 million shillings per month to do online work for the airline. But again, the legal department said they didn't know about the contract. During our inquiry, I showed them the contract. The head legal said, I'm seeing it for the first time. I didn't even know about it at all. When she gave them this contract, it was signed in December of 2021. But then she paid them from April of that same year going forward. Anyway, a myriad of issues with the company. People would purchase tickets, some of these regular flyers, Dubai, whatever, and so on. Nearly 1,000 people had purchased tickets once, and they had used those tickets more than 5 times. So you purchase a ticket, but you're in cahoots with some of the management people, so they don't close it in the system. There's something called closing. When you travel, get to your destination, they close the ticket. So they would leave it open. So this person would go, come back, next week travel again, over 5 times, yet they purchased the ticket once. Those were part of the losses that were being made by this company.
In your report that was never presented.
Have you read the report? I shared it with you.
I was going to say I never read
it. Is in that report. Have you read the entire?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So you didn't see that issue?
I've seen the losses. 100 and something billions of losses. Is that part of that's where the losses come from?
If you have the report, it is 0.5.3 void tickets. It's in the report I shared with you. So maybe you hadn't gotten a chance to read the entire. Just go to 5.3. You will see that particular point that I am talking about.
So even though the report wasn't presented, was it? Were the details ever taken up? Maybe by the airline, the ministry.
No, you see, along the way, because our inquiry was in the open, they got a bit jittery and said, now what do we do? Let's try and do some, cleaning up so that we don't look so bad. So they advertised all other jobs except the CEO's job. And I told them, look, the bigger problem is the leadership question. You have a CEO who is not qualified, who has hired backdoor, but who has created all of this mess when she was commercial director and now as CEO and so on and so forth. If you don't fix that, you are going nowhere. Of course, many people said, Joel, it's because you don't like government. I said, of course I don't like this government for many reasons. The way they operate, bad governance and so on. But I said, away from my not liking this government, the issues I'm raising, they're here, they're on record. Here are the signed contracts. She's not denying them. And you see, the good thing, whenever I would ask her, either she would concede or she would keep quiet, because it was obvious what we were dealing with. So I said, how do you say I'm witch hunting her? Where is the falsehood about what I'm saying? The committee that I was chairing, like all other committee members, about 70% of the members were NRM, because that's the image of the entire house. So every committee will have majority NRM. And they all signed the report. When I became chairperson of the committee, I told colleagues, I said, look, if we are going to do our work, we need to, for a while, forget about the political parties where we come from.
Yeah.
When we get into the committee room, let's do the work we ought to do. What is bad is bad. Don't say because I'm NRM I'll try and sugarcoat this. It doesn't help you either. And good enough colleagues actually bought into that. So we didn't have...
There was a precedent as well. That committee has done good works in analyzing accounts and so on.
Yeah, sure. And several others.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking, what's different about this anyway? And so on. But maybe there were some powers which were trying to protect this person. I said, protect them as you would want.
The airline?
The person. Because now here we are. How did they protect the airline? Things have gotten worse. Losses on an annual basis, things have gotten worse and worse, as some people would say. So I said, if you don't fix this issue, it does not matter what you do. You can try and cover up, you can try and gloss over it. It will not help us as a country. Every year, government pumps money into this airline. And I kept saying, look, this is money we are throwing down the drain. You are pumping money there in. They are purchasing this aircraft, for which the manufacturer is closing shop, but you're insisting on purchasing this. Now you're going to look for spare parts, and that's the battle we had recently. So where are you going to get the spare parts from? You knew what you were doing. So all of that incompetence, who suffers? All of us, because this is our money, all of us as taxpayers. Forget that I'm NUP and whoever is NRM and so on. So there you are.
Honorable Abdul Katuntu, as Honorable Babu and Honorable Senyonyi are saying, all this was predictable.
It's quite very unfortunate for any regular traveler when you get onto some of these aircrafts to either South Africa, Nairobi, or even India. You find a very courteous, staff. The aircrafts themselves are very good. And as Francis says, those 3 routes are always full. So it is not that there is lack of business. Actually, Ugandans, you need to give them credit. They have supported that airline because I am a regular traveler to South Africa, being my second workstation. And that route is always full. So is Nairobi, so is India. The issue is, if business is doing well, where is the problem? And that's what really pains. It's not like this Uganda line does not have passengers. Indeed, these aircraft are always full. Actually, rescheduling a flight on Uganda Airline is one of the most difficult. It's like, no, tomorrow, the other day is full, it's the other day is full, and so on. So Ugandans have really supported this airline. But what we now see is both technical and non-technical challenges or problems. The technical, Francis, he has talked about it, the sort of aircrafts and so on. And to that extent, I agree with him that you might need aviators, experienced aviators, to help sort out the technical challenges. But at the same time, you go back to what Joel is saying about management. Because some of these are purely, it's nonsensical. It's just bad manners. It's that you can find an institution where somebody travels on the same ticket 5-7 times. It's outright theft, corruption. And this, you don't have to be a technical aviator to see it. I mean, it's all about management and so on. So the issue is, how did these managers get into the offices? It goes back to what he's saying. Once you bend the rules, you guide from the rules, chances that you have these sort of problems are actually high. If there is a process initiated by the board, as the law requires, to recruit the chief executive, let the process go on and let the best win. But once no, it is not about that, it is a Wanyoto for some reason, then Wanyoto comes with all her incompetences, with all her ego.
She's going to quarrel.
I'm not
it's an example.
I'm not talking about Lydia Wanyoto. I'm talking about Jennifer Wanyoto, not Lydia Wanyoto. So these are different people. Okay. Jokes alone. Anybody who comes through the ventilator or through the back door, you would have the same problem. But the world all over, airlines do have challenges, especially those run by government. One of them is actually being commandeered by government and government not paying. Are we sure that government has not had that problem? That at some point, because passengers book flights, and we all know we are traveling on Wednesday, but then Permanent Secretary Bamwine goes and commandeers this airline to go to some other route, and you have these passengers who are now stranded. Then in the process, they lose faith in the airline. I'll give you an example. I was chairperson of the committee that organized the Commonwealth Speakers Conference. We asked Jennifer and Tim to come and see us and say, look here, there is an opportunity for you to market yourselves. We want you to be the official carrier. Never mind that you don't have enough aircraft or the destination, but we want Uganda Airline to be the official carrier of this conference. You can even advertise it on your website. You can advertise it even on your planes themselves, like you could see Expo something. The Emirates does it. And we are so excited. The next meeting, when we were supposed to give them the details, they sent an assistant, somebody. All the senior officers didn't turn up. I just chased them. These, like France says, these are just jokers, really jokers. Here is an opportunity to market your airline, to market the country, to the entire world, to the entire Commonwealth. And they sent some girl, I think she works in the VIP lounge there. And I said, what is it I discuss with you? So I said, okay, let's forget about that. Let's move on other. So we forget about that project because I think we are being artificially patriotic and wanting our airline to be a high flying. So one, rules must be
it was
obeyed.
because they knew they wouldn't deliver?
They just not the bunch of not serious guys. Just forget about them. Yet when you come to the technical people, that's where I say this thing is very unfortunate. I don't know you guys whether you travel Uganda Airlines.
Yes.
And you see the staff.
Yeah.
You see those pilots.
Yes,
they
competent.
Everything you would
Even
need.
the plane itself is okay.
Everything
the
you would
challenge is getting
need
on.
about an airline. You have it within. Except there is that very odd Airbus. I think it is. It carries our flag, but I don't think it's a Uganda Airline flag. I say for some other company and so on. Very.
Did some subcontracting.
Yeah, subcontracting. It is run by some other people. They know nothing about cuts and so on. But the Ugandans really, it's very unfortunate. These guys who do everything to make this airline tick actually are suffering this negativity because you have a bunch of a certain person who doesn't know her job. Then two, I don't want Minister Katumba to run away from it. He's actually responsible because there is a board which he put in place. He directly supervises the board and the board directly supervises the CEO. Everybody concerned should actually bite the bullet. All of them should know they fell short. General Katumba is one of those very good fellows. But on this one, I have to fault him. You can't say, well, I wanted to do this, but there was a CEO was this and so on. Even then, what did you do as the minister responsible? What sort of board did you put in place? And I think we need to move away from the culture of finding very incompetent people and we dump them on boards or statutory authorities. It's one of the biggest problems. You've got just job seekers. They just don't know the job. And I privileged, I was honored to have overseen some of them. Many of them, there is a problem with the boards. They just don't know their job and they become part of the problem. You find a non-executive chairperson of the board, but he's behaving like an executive one. He has got a car, he has a physical office, he works in, every that age is in the office, provided by the SATA, but he's a non-executive member of the board. So he takes it as a full-time job. So it's beyond Uganda Airlines. We just need to do an overhaul of the statutory authorities, the way they work. Otherwise, after Uganda Airline, you're going to have another one.
Let me get you a bottle of water, Honorable Katonda. Calm down.
I think a coffee.
A coffee. The coffee might hit him up more.
It's
your government, Mr. Fred Bamwine.
Yes.
Have you flown Uganda Airlines?
Many times. But one, when you told me about this topic, I chose to dress like this. Because in me, there are two main things, Pan-Africanism and nationalism. And you'll never find me without anything resembling Uganda. Anybody who puts up our flag anywhere, I feel very proud. So, this airline...
You should also feel very bad when anybody does the Uganda flag and steps
Don't open it.
Your neighbor.
So he should be sad that we're beaten for carrying the Uganda flag.
For misusing. So,
but you're wearing it.
So if anybody
Senyonyi gave you
Does
lawyering
not-
skills because to
If
tackle
anybody
an
does
answer
not
out
see-
of you.
does not see the value of that nationalism at anywhere, then you are hitting me below the belt. Two, this is the second time we are getting a challenge with airlines. There was the first one from independence, which also collapsed. So after some 20 years plus, there's this attempt. But when I was searching around, I found we are not the first and not the last. Airlines have had challenges. But in this particular case, I think it goes to all of us. Much as you are talking of the management and the technical, but there are also players here. I was watching closely when Honorable Senyonyi was investigating this matter. The way it was being conducted, I asked myself, if I went back to my village and reach home and they tell me that my mother has gone mad, is in the town beating people and addressing, what do you do? Do you join the crowd, or you get a method to minimize the damage? That's why I got my challenge. Because the committee of Senyonyi and his friend and his committee members were praying to the gallery. I take my time to read. This country called America, which most people glorify, if you knew what is inside, you couldn't do anything. But not everything they do it in the public domain. There are things they speak in the bedroom, there are things they speak in the sitting room and in the compound. So my biggest take is, if a problem has happened, you are going to Masaka, find an accident on PG, people are dead, others are injured, others are alive. Do you start asking by what caused an accident? You first do the damage control, then you can come and ask later. So
Have you heard of a word called an apologist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So to me, I'm one of those who believe. Today we are talking of Uganda Airlines. There are other government departments. They are not doing well. And we are not addressing the cause. And I think, to me, the cause, what kind of sanctions or punishments do we have on our law books regarding non-performers and corrupt? What kind? When we have in our constitution everybody is presumed innocent. Even this person we are talking of mismanagement is very innocent, presumed until
that COSASE report spells out monies that were lost.
But that
16 billion, 165
but does it amend the Ugandan laws?
6 billion. No, but
it doesn't amend the constitution.
So you want to get her conviction? You see,
not her.
When we talk about presumption of innocence, that's a criminal law principle for the trial court.
Exactly.
For the trial court, not for you.
Exactly. Because the discretion is on the judge or the trial magistrate.
Yes.
But me, I'm saying, if we want to tour this country, let us not massage. Because when you arrest Katundu, all the Basoga will come. That's our son. All the Muslims will come. Oh, that one because he's a Muslim. All Manyawich clan. And I'm trying to say, let us help these judicial systems, like the one you did for IGG, simplified rules on corruption.
Mr. Bamwine, first pause there. We stop for a break. You'll be back.
Are you scared?
No. We, at 11 a.m. we have a break. And in the break, I'll tell you of a guy who's been arrested, taken to court for 3.47 billion of curtains. When this
he's innocent. He's innocent.
Let's stop for a quick break. Welcome back from the break. This is the Capital Gang. We've had a few issues with microphones, but we are back on. Fred Bamwine,
So,
Are there some wrongs with Uganda Airlines?
not only
Yep.
some, gross wrongs.
Not only?
Not only wrong, but
Yeah.
gross wrongs.
Okay.
Because, for instance, if you could see security forces, not everybody has the same capacity, but the issue of failure to improve yourself, the issue of failure to constantly retool our staff, the issue of rigorous training, and even the issue of being honest and polite, to know that I know this, I can reach here, this service I cannot manage it, either you can even subcontract it or source out, but you know that this is your limit. So as a country, that's why I was raising, we have countries which have been like us, the Asian tigers. They decided one day we must develop quickly. So if you do a wrong is wrong and it's harshly punished.
And they moved.
But here you have our law books. Of course, we have lawyers here. They want to continue massaging. This case can go to court and take 20 years. And because that is the system.
So I'm a bit confused. What are you recommending?
I'm recommending
media
harsh
against,
punishments to non-performers and wrongdoers. 2, if we are handling a matter of this nature, which has a global effect, the way we should handle it, it should not be for the general happiness. We should have a method. I am told about something called classified expenditure. It is a committee of parliament which goes and see how the expenditure is being implemented. But you have this thing is very sensitive, which has opponents.
What is classified about this?
No, it's not. What I'm trying to say, it has a global implication. You have competitors. This is a young baby. This is a young baby who has ever fallen down and collapsed. How do you maintain what you have achieved? I think you have heard about protecting the gains. So nobody, if there's anything to protect, it is one of these babies. So this baby should be protected and improve where we have not performed well. But my disappointment...
Abdul, I think he makes a good point. You're saying Uganda Airlines should not be suffering from bad media.
Yes.
Yes.
Not even bad media, even ourselves. Even ourselves.
Yeah, we've already acknowledged that the experience of flying Uganda is so good that any passenger just on that flight will not even see those problems. So it is not about that Uganda Airlines is suffering bad media.
No, what I'm saying...
If there is safety within Uganda Airlines,
what I'm saying...
How can that be classified?
No, what I'm saying, we have seen the problem. If we have seen the problem, how would we handle it? And me, I'm saying, coming to the gallery and playing in the hands of the opponents and playing in the hands of the international community, it does not work. Opponents in terms of competing with Uganda Airlines. 2, Honorable Katundu has been parent longer. I'm not comfortable with the kind of legal regime that we have. You get such a case, assuming she's guilty or is presumed guilty and taken to court. This case can take 20 years. When shall we recover what has been lost? When shall we have somebody to fear to do wrong because of what happened to me? Because part of security is to scare. But you have this law which massages everybody, is presumed innocent until proved guilty or accepts. To me, I think we need to go back in our boardroom and ask ourselves, Uganda Airlines has gone to this level. Who has done what? Who has not done his duty? And should answer for those crimes. But according to the laws that we have now, they are an incentive to continue committing wrongs and crimes. And to me, I'm saying we need to have a full stop. Those who did economics, when a country is developing, there is a stage we call primitive accumulation of wealth. And I think that's where we have entered. When people get these positions, whatever stage, you have even seen the public, these people have been in politics. You go to campaign, before you speak, people start showing you the throat. People have gone to that level. And people don't, they don't call it corruption. So I think it's high time we go to the boardrooms and say, this is a stop. This is a red line. We should not cross this one. 2, I want to invite...
Like 4.
I want to invite my colleagues, particularly Honorable Katuntu, who is a bit older. It does no harm, even if you are not in Parliament, to ally with those Ugandans who still like their country, and we come and say, this is where we need to go. Because if we don't do this, today is Uganda Airline, tomorrow is the next. Because initially they used to say that the government cannot run companies, but there are some agencies which have proved. When you go to where they get the driving permits, no minute. You know what the problem we use to have at immigration passports. Some departments have performed, but where they have performed, if you went closely, you'll find that the people who are running it, they are fearing something. So to me, I know mankind by nature is weak. Let us help these judicial officers. Let us reform our legal regime. We make it tight if somebody is involved in corruption, because here, there are 2 things, mismanagement and corruption.
Yeah.
But if we have to do it efficiently, we need to change our legal regime. And for instance, me, I don't see why a case of corruption should be more than 3 years in court. Why should it? Money has been lost, the country is bleeding,
Thank you.
and somebody is on the street walking. But if we continue massaging, then corruption becomes for the tribe, becomes for the church, then we are missing the point. Otherwise, I'm one of those who are saying, whoever has not played his role efficiently in Uganda Airlines should answer according to the existing laws. But we need to increase.
What did you do? It says you follow Abdul Katuntu's line. We supported you. Retired Major Awich on Uganda Airlines, trending now.
Yeah, thank you so much. On Uganda Airlines trending, I have my views, but permit me to comment about an obiter which Honorable Senyem said about his views of not liking the government.
Speak English. Obiter is not English.
Well, but it's but it's the same person who taught me. It's a common term.
Yeah, so I
So the
told
problem
you
goes
to
back to-
speak those sort of things in courtrooms.
But courtrooms is even a higher standard than this one. So if it is acceptable in courtrooms with such tight level of evidential proof, then this one is acceptable. But anyhow, what Honorable said was in passing. In passing, if you wanted, the obiter, in that he doesn't like this government, and he said for reasons that he knows. And he's not alone. There are many people who don't like this government, but at the same time, there are many people who like it. But the bottom line is that every 5 years, we regularly ask people, how many of you like this and how many of you don't? And a decision is made. So it is your democratic right and others not to like it, but it is good that we have that's why I was saying in Obiter, it is good that institutional frameworks is there to address that. Now, on the question of Uganda Airline, what was crossing my mind is that there seems to be an agreed position or a consensus that the competency of the ED is in question. And there's also seemed to be a consensus that money is lost. But I also like to say that we are here and others in the trending that we may not yet have exhausted the provision of hear the other side. Hear the other side. Because we are talking from this side, we have not heard the other side. That is the person in issue. It is true that his committee tried to do something. You could think that they gave a hearing, but still a hearing or at that level lacks the the required standard of evidential proof. And that is why commissions and inquiries, even when they conclude their findings, is still subjected to courts, because courts are the only one with maximum evidential proof. Therefore, it is at some point we may have to hear the other side of the story. But my concern here is that if the issue is the competence of the ED, which has had its resultant loss into money, it is true that General Katumba is saying that he got that instruction to make the board not continue with the recruitment. And I think this was riding on an implied wide discretional provision that His Excellency enjoys as a head of state. He has a very wide discretional powers that he would use. And therefore, you'd ideally understand that the minister is just doing a delegated work of the president and downwards. So, we only hope that the president, if he does exercise his wide discretional power and chooses to direct that somebody should be appointed, we know and hope that he acts judiciously in good faith. The challenge here comes, like in any other appointment, whether a vice president, a prime minister, a minister, or everybody else, that the president exercises his his discretional power to appoint. They get the challenge of the work. And therefore, and it is common among all Ugandans, therefore, the view should be taken from how effective does this person benefit from this discretional power exercised by the president to have her in this position. Is he competent? And if she's not competent, what are the issues that are always raised to address? Because even the head of state himself, after exercising such discretion, he would at one time even tell the person that I did my part, you made me understand that you were competent, and now that you are not, then otherwise. So there should be institutional framework to check this, and not only in the case of Uganda Airline appointment, but in all appointments, because again and again we're going to find ourselves into discretional positions that are appointed like this, and therefore they should be subject to their meeting of the competency that is required.
Mr. Awich, Mr. Paula Awich, now I've concluded that I'm a very patient person, because I cannot work out where you are. I have been trying. Where are you on the matter of Uganda Airlines, in your opinion?
I'm also getting problem understanding
I'd like
you.
Your opinion on the management of Uganda Airlines.
It is what I've been saying. Well,
no, you are talking about appointments.
What?
You are talking about appointments and disappointments.
Yes, what I'm saying is that, you see, my teacher there knows that in the bigger narrative of
Your
issues.
teacher did a poor job.
Yes,
on
in the
helping
bigger
you
narrative
present
of
your
issues.
opinion.
In the bigger narrative issues, you can come and narrate stories and stories. But in the narrative, we fish out issues. And that is why I fished out issues in the narrative of Uganda Airline, that the issue, the consensus, which raises to me two issues, is that one, the issue seems to agree on competency or incompetency of the ED. Issue two is the loss of the money. And that is why I'm saying...
Now I'm with you.
Yes, all along you were not.
I was not.
Yes. So you learn it that
Yes.
normally when we get narratives, it's a big narration. We should be able in our mind to deduce from these narratives what is the crux, and that's what in law we call issues. So these are the two issues, and that's why I was saying the two issues gets resolved in the fact that the person in issue was directly appointed by a directive. And that's why I'm saying directives for people who are lucky to benefit from discretional appointment should not be left free from subject to competency
Or scrutiny.
Yes.
I understand. Lydia, you've sat patiently, waited, all discussions out,
But you know, she has been talking too long in campaign.
so she's resting.
She's just fresh from cover.
You want me now to begin?
No.
Who are talking? This is my time, and I'm going to go.
Indeed.
The story of Uganda Airlines, listening to people that have closely associated with it, sounds very sad. And we hope that going forward, there will be an opportunity to get it back. But let me just first of all give my personal experience. I don't travel as frequently as some people have said on the gang, but I travel quarterly for work. I know Katutu knows about the APRM and work at the African Union on peace and security. So I travel quarterly for meetings. And they ask us the preferred airline. From the onset, when the Uganda Airlines started, I said, I'm going to fly Uganda Airlines. In the past, the security flights were consistent. Then after some time, the people that book for us to travel would keep saying, your flight has been rescheduled. So it began causing turbulence in the timings of the meetings. But I insisted I want to travel Uganda Airlines. Then I noticed, including the recent one that I traveled on, the quarter, December, is that we were 10 passengers on the flight.
Which road?
It was Entebbe, Joburg, direct flight. 10 people. Yes, we were 10.
This is a personal experience.
So I was
Recently,
I
I also
was
had
concerned.
relatives on Uganda Airlines, and they had a rescheduling, and they spent the night in the airport.
So we were 10, and but it was a direct flight
They all direct flights to Joburg.
to Joburg. So I began now asking myself, this is a loss. I mean, the moment you do not have, you can talk about at least half or 3/4, but 10 people. And it's a scheduled flight.
It
You have
could
to
have been
fly.
a one-off flight.
Maybe, but for me it opened whatever. But there are other flights when I was traveling. I found people in decision-making positions like the level of Katuntu. They had booked Kenya Airways, which must first of all land in Nairobi and connect. But there was Uganda Airlines that was going direct. So when I talked to them, we find that they were not even comfortable. So sometimes it costs to be patriotic and to be to sound national, that you take your child to a government school, but the policymakers do not take their own children to those schools or health facilities. So when I hear this conversation, I really hope that it should stop being business as usual. Why? Aviation industry is very sensitive, extremely sensitive. I also got worried when I saw the negatives being discussed in public, because it affects the clients. The people don't want to travel when they have a choice and they've had their issues. So I also had a problem with that, even at a personal level. So when we hope that the discussion about our airline will bring all the responsible minds to put it back to the reason why we revamped Uganda Airlines. It was about our national pride, which I really want to stand for. It was about tourism. You know that crescent crane, moving in the air. You see? It's so beautiful. So for me, I think the objectives and aspirations still stand. That we want to fly Uganda Airlines for tourism, our national pride. I mean, who does not fly Uganda? Because and even bring down the cost of travel. Before we had the airlines, without mentioning, that had a monopoly on our route, and the tickets were so high. So we said no. If we have our own airline, we shall be competitive, so that we don't have to get a rip-off on our travel. Because if you don't have your own airline, the other airlines are really costing us huge. I mean, imagine a flight of just 45 minutes. were paying between $400, $500 economy. But when Uganda Airlines came on board, the cost of the travel was like coming to a balance. So for me, like you said, I was listening in, but really we want answers. We want answers. We want our airline to fly. We want to be proud, the pride of our country. We want to do tourism.
Because I've used Uganda Airlines to
So-
Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Zanzibar, and Nairobi, Mombasa. And it is the best way to go, especially as I've said, when you are on the plane.
So we really hope
Most
that
usually-
the challenges will be listed and fixed
Yeah.
one by one, so that we get back to the objectives, and that these flights should get back to be full, and let everybody traveling from Entebbe choose Uganda Airlines with confidence, and be able to make sure that I also want to say that I think we should also minimize. We should minimize pulling down our airline despite the challenges. Let's use the forums that can help us put back, because
Yeah.
when you put on this internet and what, then everybody will not choose Uganda Airlines to travel, and yet we want business. So if there's an issue, maybe to Committee of Parliament, to the ministry, but not.
Or maybe
People are
the
celebrating
airline
as if it's a very good thing. Why are you celebrating a loss of a job of one person? It does not make sense to me, because the airline is bigger than us individuals. It's about our country. It's about our pride, and it's very costly to the taxpayer. So even that, I think we should be more sensitive, more intentional and deliberate about supporting why the airlines got back in the air, and we should be proud that the crescent crane is up in the air, and we protect it. It's one of our protected gains that we should bring home.
Yeah.
That is all I can say.
Joel, you're our friend, coming from the media. Andrew Mwenda, really you'd say did not help the airline, because he kept posting as if it was breaking news. And then I've also understood that the CEO, her contract is running out. It is not a case of that she'd been sacked anyway.
No, but she's resigned before that happens. She was asked to resign. Anyway, the media bits and pieces.
Is it factual
and,
that she was asked to resign and she has resigned?
You don't know?
Not many people know that she has resigned.
So Fred Bamwine said that the challenge he had with me and colleagues on the committee is that we're playing to the gallery. I know some little English. Playing to the gallery means to act in an exaggerated way to try and appeal, whether it be to the public and so on. But all the things we were saying were on record. We didn't say she stole 500 billion when it was 400 billion, or misappropriated or whatever. And by the way, even when we were conducting this inquiry, truth is there's a lot that we left outside of the media. We had audios, conversation exchanges, email exchanges between, whether it be the CEO and some of the contractors and so on, and other staff, and some actually where you listen to the audio and they have veered off business and they're having a romantic conversation, and then you wonder why they were handed the contract without following procurement guidelines. On one of those times I asked her, on this day, at this time, did you speak to this contractor a day before you handed them the contract? She said no. I said, I have the audio, can I play it? And she said no. So I left it out, because now she had conceded. So there's a lot that we left out, because we're also human. There's things you're saying, okay, if I play this audio with all the exchange they were having, it probably will shatter her for life. But I wanted her to first concede that she actually had a private conversation with this contractor before handing him the contract the following day without following procurement guidelines. And then I left it out. So there's a lot actually that we did leave out. But you see...
And Lydia says you have to be also a little bit patriotic.
Yeah, but you see, you should be thanking us for pointing out the ills. That's what patriotism is. So when you cover up gross ills, corruption, and so on, that's what you call corruption. I mean patriotism. I thought if I am saying this person has misappropriated money, this person has stolen taxpayers' money, I'm giving you evidence to take action against them. So you should be thanking me for being patriotic.
Not about you.
Hold on, Lydia. Let him just finish his line, and then we'll get to you, Lydia.
Yeah, so the whole patriotism, I don't know why we use it conveniently. So when you are being hounded for the ills you're doing, you guys are not being patriotic. I saw how the media has always been hounded. Why do you show these images of the military beating up people, beating up journalists? Why are you beating them in the first place? So you're blaming the media for covering the beatings, but you're not blaming the military for beating innocent people. So you're saying, you media, you're not patriotic. You show all these images world over. Our country looks bad. Our country looks bad because you are making it look bad. So where is the problem? And
I think the problem where it is, at least this is not the first country in the world. There are the other countries
which also beat,
who are even superior than us.
That's your justification for being different. Let me make my point without being interrupted, Oscar.
But other countries, the countries I'm mentioning about, you'll never see these things in the public, and they do them. So that's why I use the analogy of your mother. How do you manage a situation? If you have a home, do you put everything in your home in the public? It is your home, and it has happened. What do you do?
I don't know how to respond to it, but let me move on to the issues.
Between Joel and Fred here, the Auditor General had emphasis on matters. One of them was the loss of 164.6 trillion.
That was that year. The following year, it was a lot more, and so on and so forth.
19 billion, 211 billion. All this was lost for 2020-2021.
Yes. So the following year, it even upped and so on. But that's when you don't deal with the critical issues. That's when you gloss over them and cover them up so that you look patriotic. Then the issues will never get to be dealt with. Now I'm sure Bamwine is unhappy that Ugandans were complaining whenever they were stranded, and so the delay is 10 hours, 1 hour, so they complain on social media. I'm sure Bamwine was saying, why are you being unpatriotic? Why are you exposing these things about what do you want the people to do?
Saying that he also got tired because they were once in Nairobi and the plane was taken away to take some other people. So all seven.
So that's the thing.
Make that comment before we go for a break.
But Oscar, if you went to rumors, you get challenges. There was even a rumor why Senyonyi's report didn't come to Parliament. That there was some hand hearings.
Kachumbala said,
but the Speaker denied it based on the order paper. It was on record. I stood up. I said, I have the report here, Madam Speaker. Can I read it? She said no. So who took money, if there was any money to be taken? But finally, Oscar.
About rumors.
No, this one is not a rumor, it is on record.
Finally.
Finally, you see, when we don't let institutions function, this is how we get where we are. Major Wichpola was saying the president has got wide discretion, and so he can appoint disregarding a process by the board.
But he has refined it. He said, when you are appointed, do your work.
No, but you see, when you're appointed the wrong way, there's no work you're going to do. When you're not qualified, what work are you going to do?
Okay.
When you're not qualified to do the work. You see, you're not going to ask a monkey to swim and you expect it to swim. Monkeys climb trees.
Let's stop for a break. Come back from the break. This is the Capital Gang into the last bit. Crispy agrees with Lydia. He says last week he came from London and there were 27 passengers on a 258 plane. And last year he wrote giving kudos to UR. Then he says, but the love of flying Uganda Airlines is still alive. It is bruised, but it is very much breathing.
That was a very, unreasonable advice to fly
to start London. I agree with Captain Babu. On microphone, Major retired Paula Awich on Tarehe Sita. What does it mean to begin with? Fred Bamwine, I'm not asking questions for myself.
Tarehe Sita.
I'm asking for listeners.
Yes, indeed, for listeners.
Yes.
Tarehe Sita, for the start, it's a Swahili word meaning the 6th. Tarehe is date. Sita is 6. So Tarehe Sita means the 6th. So as shortened as that, the 6th is really referred to the 6th of February. And in this particular day is a day when some Ugandans who, in their views, saw that things were not being done well in the matters of the country. And they had tried other options, other peaceful options before that, to ensure that the country comes around the table and runs peacefully. For avoidance of doubt, President Museveni has always insisted, right from Moshi Conference, that he was a strong believer in the umbrella, not yours. The umbrella in that, the umbrella in that when UNLF came, when UNLF came, it came under a unity government spirit which was formed in Moshi. And the view then was that the Ugandan society is so fractured that should we immediately plunk into multi-party, we won't manage. But somehow the umbrella was torn apart, and we went for elections in 1980. So the matters of the state was not good. Particularly, it was expressed in the one-state machinery, the military, which was so violent on the people, to the extent that you'd have at roadblocks and they said identity card on one hand, money on the other, and people would line up, and there was nothing wrong with that. I talked to a certain UNL officer who told me that whenever an officer, a soldier or an officer would die, even of sickness, they would go somewhere and loot and present the items, whether it is old Gomasi or what, and said, this is what the late left. It was common that you'd see an officer who wants something from a shop, and he sends his escorts, go and bring me 10 kilos of sugar, this pound of bar of soap. And when the escorts ask Fanda where is the money, he said, don't you have a gun? Same thing with salary. You don't have salary, don't you have a gun? Now, these were bad states, and therefore 27 people, armed people, decided to say, since we can't negotiate anymore, I think we have to fight, destroy the state machinery, which is the crux of it, the military, change the status of affairs. And that is why the protracted struggle was launched on Tarehe Sita, and it culminated to Legal Notice 1 of 1986, the legal notice which effectively took over the reign of power, and therefore dismantled the Ithro state machinery and brought a better one, which all of you could be aware that at that time, even a mere picking in our NRA, a mere picking of a chicken of a wananchi would earn you a firing squad. And this was really a demonstration.
I like how you say in our NRA.
That is to demonstrate that an anti-people state machinery, which is estimized in the military, had been successfully dismantled and evidenced by Legal Notice number 1 of 1986, which is a constitutional document to show that the reign of power has been changed. So, 6th of February, put it in English, which is Tarehe Sita in Kiswahili, is good or known to the Ugandans in that it was a day that 27 armed people decided to wage a struggle. And this struggle was only estimized by a dismantling of a state machinery, the military. But that once you have the reign of power in your hands, like Legal Notice number 1 said, you therefore must use it to transform the welfare of the people. It doesn't stop with dismantling that state machinery. And therefore, we have indicators to show from the Tarehe Sita.
For you, Paula, when did you join?
I don't think you need it now. That's another chapter.
That's another story.
Yes, but I'm very senior. You can see from RO. But what I was saying is that we have not only to remain in the dismantling of the state machinery, but there are indicators to show, like the life expectancy, which has been moved from the 40-something to 60. Like the education, in the past we used to have 4 principal passes and you didn't join a university. And yet you have 4 principal passes because there was 1 university. Now with 2 principal passes, you will join universities because they are available. And all others in terms of infrastructure. So in summary, therefore, Tarehe Sita, which is a Swahili word meaning 6th of February, is important to Ugandans because it was a day when few Ugandans decided to take up arms.
Fred Bamwina.
First, I want to congratulate the NRA UPDF for 45 years of existence, and 2, to have managed to stabilize the country after reflecting on our past history. Therefore, Tarehe Sita is a reflection on those who went to liberate this country, whether what they fought for was achieved and is still on course, and what has not been achieved, how can it be done better? So people like our age and Oscar and those who have read the history of this country, we may have had challenges as a government, as the army, but at least we have made a big step in moving this country forward, solely because of those who sowed the seed of putting Uganda first amidst those challenges. 2, of course, we don't forget that there are people who died, who didn't happen to see the revolution. And whatever we do should be guided by those who lost their lives in an effort to stabilize this country and move better. 3, I also want to congratulate the leadership in UPDF and more importantly the Commander-in-Chief for professionalizing a rebel guerrilla force into a professional army. Because when you look at 1986, how they entered the city here, how they were looking, in terms of dress code, in terms of the equipment, and what is happening now, when you know that that time Uganda was as a lost country, but now it is the one exporting peace in the entire continent, then you must give them credit where it is due. But of course, not everything is rosy. We still have some few challenges, which we must continuously ask ourselves, what was the cause in 1981? Are we still on course? How far have we improved? And how far have we failed to improve? So largely, if you are like, as you're a teacher, a child has got 80%, he gets a D1, but also you need to look for the 20. And I think that's where we need to be facing. And
thank you. I think
more importantly,
for Joel.
More important.
Just conclude with that.
More importantly, because you see, more importantly is that this army was built on the foundation of the people. That question of pro people must always linger in our minds.
Okay.
And whatever the army does, we must all ask ourselves, are we still on course? Is there anything deviating? If there is any deviation, then we come back to the loop. But I want to appeal to every Ugandan. This is your army. If anybody is not doing perfectly, it's me and you. So let's correct here and we continue moving forward, because Uganda is bigger than all of us.
Tarehe Sita as well. Yeah, no.
Yeah, thank you, Oscar. This is an annual event. Every year we have that Tare Sita function, and it runs in the sub-region. Yesterday was the climax, but there were lots of activities, like for 2-3 weeks, even more. They have what they call CIMIC, the Civil Military Relations. So they built schools, renovated health centers, provided water, equipped health facilities like with beds and surgical material. They go out and with an intention and deliberate effort to relate with the people. Before Kabale, there was one which was in Ibugweri, and I remember we were with Honorable Katuntu, but it rained heavily. Like yesterday, actually, it also rained heavily. So I think that this is a unique history of the military and the UPDF in this case, that they intentionally want to work with the strength of the army is with the people, the way they relate with the people, and they make that mark done. So yesterday was one of those, and this time around it was in Chigezi. The when it was in Ibugweri, it was about Busoga sub-region and many other places. So for me, I think if you have issues, the military with civilians, there's always that window to reconnect as a people's army, but also as a sign that they've been able to do their mandate of protecting Uganda with their Uganda and the boundaries of our country, but also making a contribution internally. Now, coming after a general election, of course, they were part of the wider picture of securing Uganda's elections, especially so that there is no external interference, but also stabilizing and reinforcing the police and other security agencies. So the celebration was twofold. One, concluding, we are coming to the end of the election cycle. We have seen the date of residual elections. Yesterday we had elections of the youth, the female youth in Hoima City. So as we conclude, they also are able to recognize that by and large the general elections for 2026 were peaceful, and we have leaders in place. I've also seen actually the gazetting has started. There's some elected members of parliament who are already gazetted as of yesterday. So the process is progressing and it's coming to a conclusion. And like I said earlier, recognizing people are still living is also very important than posthumous. They were able to recognize those that have excelled in their service. And General MK, the CDF, was one of them, and the others. So I also congratulate them. Thank you.
Abdul. Asimwe Julius in Bara says, thank you. Tell Fred to tell Muzei ebyamulwanya bizemu.
And yes,
well,
I risk asking you.
Fred, Asimwe is telling you it has nothing to do with me. But let's put it differently. Major Witch says, and quite correctly, that Tare Sita is about the 6th of February, 1980. I think it's 1980, 81. A few people who thought things were not moving correctly decided to come together and see how they can contribute to what they thought would be a fundamental change. I don't know how many of those people are still alive today, of the 20, how many? 27. Those who were armed and so on. And then two, almost that very year, a few others joined because they believed in the cause. I do know that many of them younger university graduates, some of them still university students, from 1981, the likes of the late John Kazora, the likes of the late Aronda, the likes of the late Viralo, and many others.
Joined later?
Yeah, like a year or two later, the likes of Jeno Kihura, the likes of Besigye and so on, many of them. So as we do reflect a historical fact that 6th February, guys launched the armed struggle, many of these people who went there, those who are lucky to be alive, do they look back and are happy with themselves? I said, by the way, this is exactly what we fought for. We changed the course of the history of this country. That's this big question. That's the elephant in the room. This Simwe from Mbarara, I don't know what he's talking about, but he's saying, can I read it again? What does he say?
Yes, you didn't hear.
No.
Asimwe from it's actually teacher Asimwe.
Yes,
I'll share the Capital Radio WhatsApp number. That's where.
Thanks, tell Fred to tell Muzei ebyamulwanya bizem. I think that is quite pregnant, especially to people like Major Wichia, who joined the army at quite an early age. Kadoga, I don't know whether he even knew the decision was making at that time. Do they look back and feel proud that what this gentleman from Mbarara Julius is talking about? There was a joke in the studio. There's a gentleman who was standing outside as Bamwine was submitting. Then he said, "Hey, Vanan, you drone it." Then I see everybody laughing. That alone is a big message. Sorry, you know, there's a captain for a long time that I thought captain was your name, Major Witch. So there are things which cannot be said that we are proud as a country, or we are proud as people who participated in the struggle, to see them happening today. We should look back and say, no, that is not exactly what the people are on the sick thought. They really wanted this country for the better, especially for the army. What Major Witch has been emphasizing is the behavior of the army. Correct, and I agree with him entirely. There are things which the army should never do. Should never do under any circumstances, especially when we are talking about what Lydia calls the People's Army. There are things which can only be done by an army which cannot be called the People's Army. And those are the things which the country is concerned about. That if you are army, by the way, you need to congratulate them before I make the point, that the NRA AUPDF has built a lethal war machine on the continent. I think you confront it at your own risk. Either way, whether you're in Congo or everywhere, they have done extremely well. They have got many educated people, with all clan and manner of degrees to join the army. Professionals have joined the army, different from the previous armies. And they have been trained in the best war colleges all over the world, from the US, South Africa, wherever it is, which is where they are training. So to that extent, I think the country should be proud of it. And that is all about guarding our sovereignty as a country, border to border. However, what is the behavior? For example, do you look back at the two gentlemen who were associated with the army, like my brother Wich here, when you see what was going on during these elections, do you look back and say you are proud of it? Reflect that with 6th February. Because 6th February also has got a history that it was coming from an election which was actually a bad election. Never mind that my DNA is UPC. It was a bad election because there are many complaints which we cannot run away from. So do we have the same complaints coming up, or are we supposed to make it better such that, we don't repeat those mistakes? And I have to congratulate here my brother Bamwine. He puts it politely, but he makes the point that, look here, there are things which should not be happening now, especially by our army. And that is the cry of many Ugandans, that the army should be different. This is not a mini army. This is a Yoweri Museveni army. This is not a Rutwa army. This is a Yoweri Museveni army. It should be very, very different. Anything done by an Amini soldier, you would say, well, that was an Amini army. That was a Rutwa army, not this army. So things that are happening and should not be happening, we don't have to gloss over them. We actually must come up and condemn them, but also guide our officers, well educated, well trained, and many of them should be patriots. Yeah.
Joe, Fred Bamwine, your neighbor, when he started that even you can't get 100%, there's 80%, I felt and told him, I think you are addressing Joel in that one. Now there's an Agrim Singuzi on Capital FM WhatsApp says between 80 and 100, that's already D1. Okay.
But we needed to twin.
Look, for quite some time, the UPDF was seen by the people of Uganda as a breath of fresh air, given what used to happen with the past armies. I remember when I was still in the media, we used to do surveys, and others were done actually by some firms, and they were asking people, who do you trust more between police and the UPDF and so on? And the people would always resoundingly say, we trust the UPDF better because of the history we have seen. They were saying, this police, they're always beating us up and tear gassing us and so on. But if you ask the same question today, you'd be amazed what you see and hear. The military, which hitherto used to be quote-unquote disciplined, has now thrown off that jacket. And they seem to be the embodiment of indiscipline, beginning with their top leader, their commander. The military is not meant to engage in our partisan politics, but they do very aggressively. In the last campaigns, several senior UPDF officers at functions, at where they would get the microphone and they would say, please vote for the NRM. Totally outside of the law. And they would do it severally. We said, let's try it out. Let's write to the Electoral Commission. Let's write to, the powers that be to see if they will call these fellows to order. I'm sure they just binned our letters. But we said, okay, let's just tease it out. That's part of the indiscipline. Little wonder, they now get involved full throttle. You see them get into polling stations and beating up people. You see them critiquing ballot papers. You see how they come at supporters of the opposition. Beat them up while they are at a rally. They are holding a procession. If it is NRM folks, they will give them protection to hold their procession and go through with it, and the band and so on. That's what the army has become today, the UPDF. You see their commander, the Chief of Defense Forces. My goodness. Sometimes you keep thinking, is there a child playing with this phone? A spoiled child, for that matter. You see the kind of things that he tweets. You cannot talk about discipline of the army, and you're shy to talk about some of those things. That you will say, now I am going to kill so and so. Now I'm going to raid Nairobi. And then the father, Bambi, has got to go and apologize. You see, my son, forgive us. Then before long, he's going after the US ambassador, all manner of things. Then he says, now I have this person in my basement. And true to it, he releases pictures of this person clobbered. He will then raided Magere, assaulted the wife of Honorable Chagulanyi, they vandalized the house. And for him, it seems like a game. I don't know. I back then I used to watch some movies of serial killers, people who would relish seeing people in pain. You're killing somebody, but you're enjoying it, you film it, and so on. I keep thinking, is this guy okay? So he puts all of this on film, and then he releases the images of Honorable Chagulanyi's wife on the floor there, clearly assaulted, house property vandalized, and so on. For him, it's like a game. And this is the Chief of Defense Forces. What do you expect the juniors to do? How do you expect that junior officer, that corporal, that sergeant, that when they land on an NUP supporter who is just holding a national flag, like the way Fred has wrapped it around his neck, that they won't beat up this person simply for holding the national flag, or that they're wearing a T-shirt of Honorable Chagulanyi? How do you expect that junior fellow not to beat up and clobber that fellow? Yet his commander is saying, I'm looking for Chagulanyi to kill him. That's where now the military has gotten to. I don't know if they reflect about these things. Fred said the army is for all of us.
But
I don't know.
Last week here. You're saying he's the official communicator. But we're out of time, Joel. And I don't know. I need some positives to finish the show.
So mine is not a positive when I call out bad manners?
It is dark day.
Mwalimu.
It is dark day.
I am saying let's improve, and you're saying that's not a positive?
That's a positive.
Yeah, when I say, can we have discipline? Can the indisciplined ones be called to order? Beginning with the Chief of Defense Forces.
Right.
He's broken every law in the law books. You remember when the Tumukundes were court-martialed for simply speaking out? This one has gone over and above.
Okay, Paula,
I would want to hear Paula which tell us whether the behavior of Muhoozi Kainerugaba is good.
Give him a microphone then. Paula Awich, a positive to finish the show on?
Well, I think what I will say would be a positive. First of all,
we are totally out of time. Just say one sentence. And
the positive is, as a country, especially for us as a political party and a ruling party at that, we have tried to address this in that you remember some campaign where one of the flagship manifesto point was modernizing, professionalizing the army. It was taken up from the party position to win the votes to professionalize it. And one of the ingredients is a law was passed which gives personal liability, not only to the army, but to state agents. My teacher knows that before, if a policeman breaks your leg, if you sue that policeman, it will raise the defense of Attorney General. That me, I was doing work of Attorney General. But in the law of Human Rights Enforcement Act, right now, should any state officer do that?
By the way, it was a private member's bill, right?
It was a private member's bill, but of course the president assented to it.
Yes,
and if it was really the NRM majority wanted to block it, they would have blocked it. But we said fine. So therefore, the positive is, in the mix of things, because you have thousands of soldiers, you have to institutionally address it. That should you continue to break somebody's leg, you will be personally liable. You won't import the defense of Attorney General. So I thought that is a positive.
Okay. Fred Bamwine, 1 minute. Because I see you are itching to say.
Yes, in 1 minute, some people do things deliberately. And unfortunately, the detriment of the country. Article 212 of the Constitution, D, it says, among the functions of police, to cooperate with civilian authority and other security organs established under this Constitution and with the population generally. The last concluded elections were police-led operations.
Really?
Yes. The army cannot join the politics, the security of the politics without being invited by the police.
Okay.
Two, you may underestimate this country, but there's what we call intelligence services.
Oh.
And all these operations result as a result of intelligence estimates. And it is the intelligence estimates that guide operations in these, all these operations.
And I'm still looking for positives to finish the show. Maybe Lydia will give it to me.
That law is a positive. That law is a positive.
Yeah, it doesn't believe in the Constitution.
No, I think Bamwine is right, and maybe
and even Paula. I'm just thinking, where do they live?
Right. And we're not talking about a bad law. The debate here, the conversation, not a bad law.
No.
And we are not talking about absence of good laws. Actually, the complaint is, are we following the good laws? That's where the point is. Not about laws. The laws are good, and they're in place.
So,
and the complaint of Joel here is like, if there are laws here, why are we not following them? And I think that is the question.
Lydia, 1 minute. And I'll read a quote here that has been sent to me, which I also think is not so positive.
I
Go on, Lydia.
I hope it was seen.
I think the most positive takeaway today is we should encourage engagements and conversation. Speaking about Tare Sita, I say very good relationship between the community and the military. They can pick on from there, even at political level. There should be a lot of engagements. I was happy to see some members. Are they opposition meeting the president? This yesterday or the other day?
Okay,
let that conversation be there. This is our country.
So I've been sent a quote
even for people who say they are opposition, like Joel, just meet these guys and agree. Some of them are even your brothers and whatever.
By a British author, Samuel Johnson, and that quote is said to Senyonyi and Bamwine. It refers to the misuse of patriotic rhetoric by dishonest people to hide selfish motives or mask their lack of merit rather than a condemnation of true love for one's country, from 1775. Thank you so much for listening to the Capital Gang, the gangsters of today. Thank you so much. Star Cafe, thank you. Fred Bamwine has performed very well. Lydia has been a little bit weak with Star Cafe goodies. I am Oscar Semoya Msoke, and I shall see you.